Hello, my name's Chloe. I've never done any vlog content or any online content before, so this might be like the most awkward thing ever. But I've decided to do a little vlog now. There's a couple of reasons for that. So the first one is that my dear friend Zoe, with the support of my other friends Emma and Sophie, I hope they don't mind me naming them, two of which are who are doctors in the NHS, have set up a GoFundMe. So for those of you that don't know, I developed FND a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and had some quite severe symptoms, which basically led me to need medical care, and that ended up needing to be private. And I'll put the GoFundMe link in. But yeah, there's a couple of reasons, and I thought I'd explain what they are really. So the first reason that has prompted me now is just to kind of because Zoe set up this GoFundMe, and so I wanted to explain a bit more about my story. And secondly, I wanted to talk about the gaps in the NHS in this kind of treating this kind of functional neurological issue. I had a long conversation with my professor last night, and he is kind of one of the world experts. He's a neuropsychiatrist, and he's one of the world experts in FND, and I'm not going to say his name because I haven't got his permission to do so. But we had a long conversation, and my kind of experience was that I was in and out of A&E, where during which time I'd had episodes of losing the ability to speak, losing the ability to move different parts of my body, having different kinds of nerve sensations, cool sensations across my skin, feeling like my arms and legs were floating, sometimes feeling like they were heavy, sometimes feeling like my brain was going to explode. So in my case, my FND was brought on by multiple traumatic events, which I won't go into in this vlog. But because of that, so I was in and out of A&E a couple of times. An ED consultant just said, "I'm sending you home." I asked directly, even to the psych liaison team, "Am I going to die?" And was told not within the next 24 hours. And then the mental health team also would not treat me, and I was begging for help. By this point, I'd become very mentally unwell as well, because I had no safety net. The PTSD had become severe, and the FND symptoms were severe, and with no safety net, I also then became severely anxious and severely depressed, and spent each night not knowing whether I was going to wake up the next morning. And there was nothing in the NHS in place to support me. And I know that that's the story of multiple people who develop FND. And it can happen any time in life. It can happen to children, it can happen to adults. So I had this conversation. I'm not going to go into all of my story today. I've kind of briefly touched on what I went through with with A&E consultants, with psych liaison, and also with the secondary mental health team. At one point, a psychiatrist refused to see me on the basis that they didn't know how to treat FND, and I guess from a liability point of view, didn't want to do any harm, and so then left me. But there were points where I could have lost my life. My nervous system had got to a point where I couldn't sit up and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to save my actual full symptom story for another time. I think it could be quite triggering, and I really want to talk about this conversation that I had with my professor last night. And he is a neuropsychiatrist, and he's one of the only ones in the country. The current wait time to see a neuropsychiatrist on the NHS is a year. So if you develop acute FND, which as I did, the wait time is still a year, which I absolutely would not have survived, either as a result of the severity of my symptoms, but more likely because I'd become a risk to myself because of how severe my symptoms were. So when I was talking to my professor last night, and I said to him, why is there such a lack of insight? Why is there no understanding between psychiatrists and neurologists about FND? Why is there this huge gap where you go to A&E and the consultant won't refer you to neurology? Or you go and see a psychiatrist and they say, we don't know how to treat you. And the answer I got is that within the medical system in the UK, neurology and psychiatry are taught separately. And in Egypt, where my professor trained, he was taught in neuropsychiatry. It's not one and the same, but it's co-taught because the two are so closely related. What goes on in your brain happens in your nervous system too, and when your nervous system becomes overwhelmed, well, your brain is part of your nervous system, and that's the crux of it. That the NHS system just does not teach neuropsychiatry as it's a speciality in itself. Sorry, I'm losing the ability to form what I want to say, but it's taught as separate specialities rather than a cohesive, from a holistic point of view of what can happen in the nervous system when you've got a heavily traumatized nervous system. And my hope, I suppose, other than sharing my GoFundMe link, really, and a friend who also has FND, we've got something in the pipeline. I don't want to give too much away at the moment, but going forward, when we're both well enough, we've got something in the pipeline. But my hope really for this vlog is to bring greater awareness to medics. It's kind of ironic that my medic friends are the ones that have set this up for me, and Zoe, Emma, I love you, and Sophie. I love you all. But if this can reach psychiatrists and neurologists and know that actually there are doctors that can tell you how to treat this, and that most importantly, what the nervous system needs is safety. And when you are turning patients away, that's telling that person's nervous system that they are not safe, and that's going to exacerbate their symptoms. So it may be that they need medication, but actually relatively, with reassurance, with some medication and with a safe environment, recovery really is possible, and symptoms will wax and wane. But I think that's the message that I want to reach far and wide to medics, that the freaking out, the saying you're not going to treat people is actually what is exacerbating symptoms in a roundabout way. And I know it's hard when there's kind of not the teaching in the UK, but I would ask you to look into it. If it's not a presentation that you've seen before, to look into it, to reach out to colleagues, to reach out to neuropsychiatrists, because I can promise you that if you get a bit of education in it, you'll be saving a lot of people from a lot of psychological and physical distress. So I'm going to post my GoFundMe link in the comments. I've never done a YouTube video before, so I'm not entirely sure how it works. I am going to do future videos. I'll talk more about my symptoms in detail. And also in posting this link, I'm aware that I am very, very lucky. I'm very, very lucky that my family somehow, although it hasn't been easy, have been able to keep me in the Nightingale for the length of time that was required to stabilise me. It has been a financial strain. It is a financial strain, which is why my besties have set this up for me. But also I'm well aware that, and I've had this conversation with Prof, and I've had this conversation with the nurses here, that I'm one of the lucky ones. And those that develop symptoms like I did and then have to wait a year, I know for sure that there are really sad cases where the outcomes are a lot different than mine. There is a fantastic charity that provides a lot of resources called FND Hope. And if other people with FND are watching this, I just want to say that even in your darkest moments, it can improve. But I also want to draw attention to the fact that people in deprivation, their outcomes are different. And that's where me and my friend are with FND. We're hoping to create something. I don't know how we're going to create it yet, but we are, with our brains together. I'm a bit of a dreamer, he's a bit of an entrepreneur, and we're a big entrepreneur. I won't say his name again, I haven't been given permission yet, but thank you all for your support on Facebook, and this is for me. It's also for my Eli, and lots of love to you all. And if you want to reach out, if you're someone with FND, I will post a link and my email address, and feel free to reach out to me. Okay. That's all for now, I think. Okay.